Carl and Lou here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it is another episode of the Nasties. As we're going to the Toolbox Murders, one of the more famous and popular ones.
Yeah.
Really well liked, although I'm not entirely sure why after seeing it, personally.
Yeah.
1978 American slasher film directed by Dennis Donnelly, written by Anne Kinberg, Robert Easter and Neva Fredin, and starring Cameron Mitchell, Pamela Ferdin and Wesley Ury. The film was marketed as being a dramatisation of true events, though no source can actually confirm this. So I call bullshit on that. If there's no source that can confirm this, you're just marketing it that way. Won't be the first, wasn't the first, won't be the last to do it.
It happens all the time, don't it? Films?
Of course. It was briefly banned in the early 1980s in the UK as a video nasty. Of course it was. Released with 1 minute 46 seconds, cut in 2000. The movie was not prosecuted. Banned in the UK from 1982 to 2000 by the BBFC. I suspect it's probably because it wasn't resubmitted
properly.
Post 1982 to 2000. Because come on, 2000, it should have been fine. As it was released in 2000 with 1 minute and 46 seconds cuts on the DVD by Vipco in the UK. Now, there is a belief, and it's actually wrong, that this movie is not available uncut in this country. That's not true. 88 films have released an uncut version. Because I read that and went, that can't be true.
Right.
And I found it wasn't true. I went actually looking out for it.
Yeah.
So, this movie, let's just say, do you like it? Did you enjoy it?
There was a few bits I liked, but overall it wasn't great.
Yeah, I'm in the between on it. I enjoy parts of it. We got very confused by how the movie's kind of structured in regards to violence and stuff, and then how it's not.
Yeah.
And then you get these abrupt, weird moments, and a very, very highly sexually charged segment.
Yeah.
You know?
And then not much else after that in that sense. And then it slowed down a lot.
And
then, certain character decisions made sense and other ones didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a bit like, oh, okay. So your character wouldn't act like that.
No, I agree. I agree.
And, why are you acting like that? This is taking too long, this scene. Part of the whole idea of Toolbox Murders kind of goes completely off the scale. Like
It's not integral. It's called the Toolbox Murders, and it is not integral to the plot at all.
Nuts at the beginning, really slow, and it just ends.
Yeah, it does do some things that are cool, kind of interesting for its time, I think, as well. One of them is that it reveals its villain very early on.
Yep.
But then changes the villain. Which is quite unique.
Yeah.
Which is kind of clever for 1978 as well. So I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, so there was bits to appreciate, but I think overall
it's not one I'd want to watch again.
No,
that's it. Yeah, like this.
I won't reach for it again and go, oh yeah, I'll put that on again.
No, absolutely. I think it sits in the middle, really.
Yeah.
So we begin with a man dressed in black driving through LA. This is very disorientating because we do it via POV a lot of the time, and it's really hard to know what is happening here. Particularly as near a car dealership, the film freezes like so long as well. Like you're like, what? What's happening? As it seems to be implying like a flashback of a car accident that's occurred, which killed a young woman.
Yeah.
And eventually you realise this is what's going on, but it kind of just gets stuck in it for so long. You're like, huh? Is this now, or is this? Like you don't know. I didn't know it was a flashback till later.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was
just weird.
Yeah,
it was just weird. But this man then arrives at an apartment complex, and in this apartment complex, he basically kills a number of people. Miss Andrews is a female tenant who actually recognises him. She lets him in and says, "Oh, you're here."
Yeah.
And he's got a toolbox, which is the Toolbox Murder thing. So we were like, well, obviously he's known.
Yeah.
He's got maybe he's the handyman or something like that.
Yeah.
He kills her with an electric drill. Afterwards, he dons a ski mask now for reasons so that we don't have to see his face.
Yeah.
But immediately you're kind of given a big clue. Is the shape of the body.
Yeah.
And look of him, you're like, well, you're a heavy-set fellow, and you got a bit of a squat head.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can match the dots up to that. Yeah. So it's very easy to work out once you see who it actually is. But he murders two other women. The first with a hammer, and the second with a screwdriver. So we just get some quick flurry of deaths.
Yeah, really, really quick.
And okay. Like, you hear those tools and you're thinking, oh man, it must be some spectacular gore.
Some fun with that. Yeah,
Not really. Sometimes it cuts away, like the drill in the stomach, you don't see that.
No.
Put it this way, we want to see some drill kills. Go watch Driller Killer.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That went more town on it, yeah.
Of course, the bodies are found, the police are called, and they interview the people who found the bodies, as well as Vance Kingsley, the owner of the building. As soon as you see Vance Kingsley, you're like, it's you.
Yeah.
it's you. Of course it's you. You were clearly that man that was under that ski mask, unless they're going to really, really throw it out the fucking window. And you have access to the building, and that means why people would recognise you. It's you. It's really, really obvious. The only thing is the why. You have the who,
Not the why.
and the why is what we're missing. The next night, the killer strikes again, breaking into the apartment of a woman who was basically who is masturbating in a bathtub, and he shoots her in the stomach and head with a nail gun. This is likely to be the thing that was heavily cut.
Yeah, of course.
Because this is quite lengthy. So, you know, she gets topless. She's a model.
She's an adult film star in real life.
She is. And she gets in the bath and she masturbates. And it lingers.
Yeah.
Like, it spends a lot of time watching her do this kind of thing. You don't see anything. It's all bubbles and shit like that. But, like, it's there.
Yeah, and if obviously these people back in the day, that's what they were looking like. No.
Absolutely,
Straight
yeah.
off
Because
bat, nope.
it's gratuitous.
Yeah.
That's the word. It's gratuitous.
Yeah.
And then we get some nail gun death as well with her. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's better than some of the ones we saw at the start.
Yeah.
But the murderer ends up abducting a girl called Laurie Ballard, who's a 15-year-old who lives in the above apartment with her family. 15 being played by mid-20s.
Yeah.
Easily. Laurie's brother Joey is questioned by Detective Jameson, and frustrated by the detective seemingly lacks attitude towards Laurie's disappearance, decides to search for a sister on his own. The detective in this movie. In fact, all the police, we were laughing a lot at the start of this movie because, like, they'd be interviewing people in the murder scene.
Yeah, and there's like 10 people all around, like...
while the body's just there.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And everyone just sort of seems okay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the detectives and the police in this...
Implying that, like, oh, it might be the woman's fault. He's gross. He's really
He does do that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He talks about, did she have many men over? Would she, that kind of thing. It's like, dude, the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. It's so grim just to watch him, like, question people. And, like, the mum's... When she gets interviewed, she's like ready, like she's understandably annoyed with him as well, isn't she?
Yeah. We do get some really lengthy scene where he goes to visit her at a workplace, at a bar, and she breaks down. She's crying with her boss and all that kind of thing. She wants to carry on working because it'll distract her mind from her missing daughter.
It feels like he wants a free drink.
Yeah, because then he starts to also imply come on to her near
like
the end
mooching.
of it.
Yeah, he's probably like a creep.
And it's just like, what the hell, man? And it's not like... Here's the thing, it's not like it's obviously supposed to be like this.
No.
Because he's supposed to come across, I think, like, just a bit aloof.
And I think that's even more of a problem. So, like, if you went to someone else and complained, they'd be like, well, what did he say anything directly?
No, he didn't really. It's just like...
Then you couldn't really complain. You could complain, but they might go, well, we've not got anything he's not said for definite.
Yeah.
That's obviously where a lot of people, what the problems come from, of just being sly, or like, when people are racist as well.
Yeah.
Doing it sly. And it just kind of treads that line of like, oh, he didn't say anything outwardly, but it was implied.
Yeah, because with Laurie, he's constantly sort of implying that she might have just run off with a boyfriend or something like that. And it's like, dude, it's like, we're shouting at the screen. X amount of bodies have turned up. Now someone's gone missing. Yeah. And this is your attitude. Yeah. You suck, man. You suck. While looking through the homes of the murdered women, Joey ends up meeting up with Kent because nothing will stop suspicion. Because the detective also suspects that Joey... Like, implies Joey, do you know anything about it? Yeah. Or Joey then breaks into the murdered women's places. Awesome. But he meets Kent, who is Vance's nephew, and he's been hired to kind of clean the apartment of deceased tenants. Best thing in this movie is Kent. Yeah. Very, very subtle, very well played. I was transfixed by his looks. Yeah. I thought he was a beautiful, beautiful man. Yeah. And like, we'd look and he had these big soulful eyes, and I was transfixed, which ended up working really, really well, because he will be villain 2, basically.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed his character, and I thought the acting I think it's the most memorable one. Yeah. You got harped on about his thin lips. Yeah, that little few. You got thin lips.
But and during these parts, when he meets up with him, Joey just seems far too chipper.
Yeah.
The fact his sister's gone missing. Like, at first he's kind of like, I think he has a go at Kent for being too flippant about his sister going missing.
Yep.
And that's all he says about it. After that, he's like, hi buddy, it's all chummy about that. Yeah. I'd be more concerned if my sister got missing. Because then she went missing normally. The fact there's dead bodies as well doesn't feel much hope that my sister's going to come back alive. Yeah, it just didn't match up with how chipper he was.
No, we do get a lot of scenes of these two interacting as they become friends. In one of them, Kent mentions that Vance, in particular, has not been since Kathy died. And Kathy is Vance's daughter and his cousin. She died in a car accident. And there's your dots. Yep. There's your connection dots. And immediately like, okay, so that was Vance at the very beginning.
Yeah.
That was the car crash flashing back to. And you can probably even put two and two together and say he's kidnapped Laurie as a replacement for his daughter. That's why she's not dead. And this is where it's all revealed that Vance is a serial killer, driven insane, and become a bit of a religious zealot because of this death. He's killing sinners, and as we said, has kidnapped Laurie, who he's keeping tied and gagged up in Kathy's bedroom to replace Kathy.
Yeah.
You know, he's very, very... Sometimes he refers to her as Kathy, and he'll talk to her as if he's a daughter. Sometimes he seems to be slightly aware of who she is, but because of that, he's kept her tied up, because he's aware that, you know, if she is not tied up, she'll escape, kind of thing. During a discussion with Detective Jameson, Joey realises that all the clues point to Vance being the killer, so he goes to the house and is followed there by Kent. And we should say that Kent earlier on, it implies that Kent had found out too when he arrives and looks in from the outside at night and sees Kathy tied up in the bed.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything. So you're kind of like, oh, okay. You're like, oh, maybe he doesn't want to get his uncle in trouble.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, you know. His uncles look after him. Joey ends up finding bloody tools in Vance's garage. He finds the toolbox with all the bloody tools. Cleaned them. Evidence. You know. But he's confronted by Kent, who basically becomes villain too.
Yeah.
As revealing that he's not going to give up his uncle. He cares about his uncle and wants to protect his family. And him and Joey kind of get into a bit of a fight, and he ends up killing Joey by setting him on fire.
Yeah.
Bit of a brutal death for Joey.
It is a little bit.
Yeah. And I actually didn't think Joey would die in this movie. I thought he was
I
going to
didn't.
be a sort of survivor because of the role. The role that he was going to rescue his sister, that kind of thing. Kent ends up walking in advance, talking to Laurie. And this is where things, I think, get darker again. So Kent basically constantly berates his uncle and starts to tease him. And then he implies to Vance that him and Kathy were in a relationship together. That she didn't love that she didn't love him. They were going to run off together. And they were they're cousins, so it's an incestuous relationship. Yeah. And that they were doing that. And it's like, ooh. And it's a very chilling delivery from the actor, who's very, very good and enjoyable to watch. But it's... And Vance, like, you know, he's freaking out about it. It's a bit like, oh man, this film, these moments just pitted in and they're like...
It takes it to a different level.
It does. That's the thing. I don't want to say it takes it in a different direction because we are dealing with kidnapping and murder and all that here. But it's like, oh, okay, that too. Yeah. Excellent. But Vance and Kent fight, and Kent ends up fatally stabbing Vance with a kitchen knife. And this is one of the more bloody scenes. This is quite a bloody, violent scene that takes place in the kitchen.
So it would have been cut.
Not necessarily.
Shortened?
It's long. Here's the thing again. Let's mention it now in regards to everything. There's no short deaths in this. No. Everything has a little bit of extension to it. Even though deaths at the very beginning, they're drawn out. There's an attack first normally, a bit of screaming, a bit of running, a bit of falling down, a bit of pain. Yeah. Here you get it as well. This fight is fairly protracted and involves a lot of stabbings. Yeah, very, very possible. But it's not done with brutality. After he's killed Vance, Kent goes to Laurie. He cuts the bonds and he's like, look, but basically he's gone off the deep end now as well. Yeah. And he wants her to be with him. Yeah. So he rapes her. Yeah. And you don't see it. It cuts away to the aftermath. But it's not a very comfortable aftermath, as he's asleep in the bed and she's lying there. And here's the thing. She's supposed to be 15. Yeah. So I think, that's what the film said. Yeah. So you're like, oh, God. Even though, you know, obviously, come on, man. But he acts as if he and Laurie are married now, but he also implies to her that he killed Joey and Vance, which is enough for Laurie to grab a pair of scissors and stab him to death. A dazed and bloodied Laurie wanders out of the house as the last shot of her walking bloodied and dazed, and we get sort of words in the screen state that the film was dramatised of events that occurred in 1967, that Laurie was institutionalised for 3 years and now resides in San Fernando Valley with her husband and a child. No sources to this, so don't believe it. No. And that's the film. That's the film in a nutshell. Here's the thing, it's not like it's a hard to watch film. No. It's not like it's particularly brutal or disgusting, particularly at this stage of our Video Nasty run, where I saw anything that made me go, or anything like that, you know? Yeah.
I feel like if someone modern could do quite a good job of remaking
this. It has been remade, hasn't it? There's a remake of this. Yeah. Oh. I think it's 2007 or something.
Oh, I already know that.
Yeah.
Because it's like the elements of it could be done
better.
Yeah, a bit more brutal. And
just go balls to the wall.
I like the story. I like our story of like someone being driven mad by grief.
Yep.
And it kind of spread into like someone that trusts him and end up seeing what fully goes on with his uncle and...
And I'm even cool with Kent's craziness because he tells Vance, you know, I was in love with your daughter and we were in a relationship together. Why isn't there's no reason not to believe that's not true.
Yeah.
So he also loves someone he was madly in love with.
Yeah. So he's obviously got a bit gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, the way Vance acts about Kathy. Now bear in mind Kathy was a teenage girl. I said it to you during it, I was like, he is acting like he in love with her, not loved her. So there's all these other little shades of grey and dark that make you go, okay. Yeah, there's a bit odd in that whole thing. So I like all of that as well. I think you're right. Like the modern version of this could be quite interesting. I suspect it'll probably just be more heavy on the slasher aspect than anything else. But yeah, as a narrative, beginning to end, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine, really. It tells a complete story. We get an ending, we get a beginning, we get a middle. Yeah. The issues is how we get to these parts. Yeah. We begin in confusing fashion. We then just jump into standard slasher fare as we just have someone we can't see or don't know killing a load of women for no reason, seemingly confused. Then quickly you put two and two together. We get the oddities around the detective and the police and all of that. And a lot of those scenes go on very, very long. Yeah. And you're sitting there scratching your head and going, why are they all in the room? Why are they doing this? Why is the body all bloody still there while all the neighbours are there? Mad. Yeah. Then obviously we have the kidnapping of Laurie and stuff like that. And we had been introduced to her bit by bit, but I don't think we knew enough about her to care that much. Yeah. Then of course we get the lengthy masturbating women death scene. And that, like I said, that feels like that's where those are those scenes like in Cannibal Holocaust and things like that where you feel like they've gone, this isn't controversial enough. Yeah, we need something more. Yeah. And this was the idea. And looking into or being able to hire an adult porn star, an adult actress to do something or imply something that maybe a standard actress would not want to do.
I did read that apparently she invited her family to the screening of this film. The screening of this film. that was long for us to watch. Imagine your family.
Oh god, it's the sitting there with your parents watching a film when a sex scene comes on in a movie.
Titanic.
And you just want the floor to sink. You know? I read a good joke about how to win power back in that situation. If that was ever happened in your life, turn around and if it comes in, turn around and say to your parents, oh, this is what you two are into. Yeah.
And make them feel cringy.
Yeah, the power, they regain the power in those situations. Yeah, that's cringy as fuck. But then, like I said, the film, all these parts, these sort of monstrous parts, are intersected by some very slow segments.
Yeah, very slow.
The parts with Joey and Kent and talking and getting to know each other, they're very slow. Yeah. They're very slow. Although I like Kent, and I don't even mind Joey either, they don't really further the story except to sort of say, look at Kent and have him ask a lot of questions. Yeah. They're too long for the progression we get. Yeah. And then they confuse things by having Kent see Laurie tied up in bed and do nothing. That confuses matters. Yeah. I said at the time when we were watching, I said, maybe he doesn't want to like dob his uncle in and all that. And it's like, I get that, right? I do get that. And I get it to a certain degree. But look, man, even if my own brother, let alone my uncle, I find out my brother's got a woman tied up and all that.
Then we argue the fact that you might not have seen.
There was an argument that he was looking from the window at the top.
Yeah, and she was down here.
Underneath the bed underneath. But she's lying down. You'd have seen it, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd have seen enough easily to certainly imply something. There shouldn't be a girl there, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then obviously Kent's switch is abrupt because it's like, oh, you've gone from that to crazy. Yeah. Which is, of course, hard to take. But I can give it a lot of leeway in regards to that. I really don't like the fact that it pretends it's a dramatisation when it's not. Particularly with a spiel at the end. That's really, really bad. There's a difference between saying based on true events and actually at the end implying like historical accuracy while having no sources for that accuracy.
It just slapped on, didn't it? It just feels slapped on. Like, oh, here we go. Just trying to add a bit more to the...
Does it make any difference to the story overall? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No. It's not a good movie, but it's not a bad movie. It sits so squarely. It's one of the middle ones. Yeah. Where it's there, it's fine. We enjoyed it watching it. Wouldn't want to watch it again.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. Got any thoughts? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?